Have you ever felt like your kindness goes unnoticed or, even worse, is taken for granted? If so, you're not alone. In our world, genuine generosity often flies under the radar or gets met with indifference. We've been raised to put others' needs before our own, with messages drilled into us since childhood to share, help, and give. Now we've grown up wanting to do good. But what if our willingness to help backfires? What if people start to see us as an endless source of support? It's a tough reality in today's world. Sometimes it feels like the more we give, the less we get back. And it's not just about time or money, but also our energy and peace of mind. Stoicism teaches us about balance and self-preservation, yet we often find ourselves overextending. Today, we're going to explore the golden mean together and look at 10 dangerous consequences of being too kind, plus 4 Stoic principles that can help you find harmony. So, if you've ever felt like your help goes unappreciated, this video is for you. First, being overly kind can make you looking weak. Stoicism teaches us about inner strength and self-restraint. But here's the catch. If you're always helping everyone, you might give off the wrong impression. There's a tricky balance between being helpful and being overly nice, which can lead to misunderstandings. Imagine a situation where you're always ready to lend a hand, but others start to see you as the go-to person for all their responsibilities. That can make you seem weak, and people might stop appreciating what you bring to the table. But here's the thing. Start saying no firmly, but politely. Imagine yourself as someone who values their time and respects themselves. When you set boundaries, it changes how others see you. You stop being just someone who's willing to do anything and become someone who deserves respect. Saying no isn't just a refusal. It's a strong statement about your worth. It shows inner strength, not weakness. So the next time you feel tempted to say yes when you really want to say no, remember that. Stand your ground. This is a necessary statement about your strength and worth. Second, unrealistic expectations can lead to disappointment. Here's a Stoic truth. Happiness shouldn't depend on what others do. When you give, it shouldn't leave you feeling let down and should help you stay emotionally stable. But let's be real. It's tough. You show kindness deep down, hoping people will reciprocate. You want them to see and appreciate what you do. But what if they don't? That's where we are. We burn ourselves with our expectations. Think about it. You always take responsibility, do favors, and help out, so naturally you expect others to do their part, right? But when they don't, it really hurts. In the end, you feel exhausted, irritated, and disappointed. Everyone's different, and Stoicism reminds us of a harsh truth. We can't control what others do. So without any strings attached, you find a helping hand. Try to let go of those expectations. Don't wait for them. True value lies in the act of helping itself, not in what you get back in return. This mindset helps you stay calm no matter what comes your way. Third, giving too much can attract the wrong kind of people. From a Stoic perspective, the energy you put out draws in like-minded individuals. When you're positive and balanced, you attract generous and genuine people. But if you're always giving without rest until you're exhausted, you might end up feeling depleted and unappreciated. People are often more eager to take what they can get. Imagine being someone who never says no, always there to help. Sounds great, right? But soon, you notice that the people around you don't want to give back, they just take. Even worse, you might attract those who will take advantage of you. It's important to recognize when you're overdoing it. When you set boundaries, you conserve your energy and attract the right kind of people, those who appreciate what you offer and are willing to give back. Think of it like that. On a two-way street, you want to be around people who respect you and what you bring to the table, but don't let that define you. That way, you'll build relationships based on mutual respect and a real connection, not just one-sided giving. That's the way to stay balanced, respectful and genuine. The fourth point is about losing yourself for the needs of others. Stoic wisdom says that when you're always caught up in other people's problems, you might be avoiding your own inner struggles. When you're always serving others, you lose touch with yourself. Your own voice gets drowned out by everyone else's demands, and when you finally find a quiet moment, all the fear and pain you've been running from come rushing back. It's about recognizing your own needs, setting boundaries, and exploring your own path. This isn't just nice to have, it's essential for a real life. So, the next time you feel the urge to dive into someone else's problems, take a moment to pause and face those heavy feelings. Face to face, be true to what you really need and what you want. You'll see that by respecting your own boundaries, you'll be in a much better position to help others in a healthy and balanced way. The fifth point is the trap of constant giving. Stoic philosophy values moderation, especially when it comes to giving back. It's like steering a ship in a sea of endless demands. When you give too much and too often, it can seem nice at first, but it's a slippery slope. The thing is, people tend to stick to what's easy. If you're always taking responsibility and solving problems, you basically let others stay in their comfort zone. They don't feel the need to step up, and that ends up putting a load on you that isn't yours to carry. It can really drain your energy and emotional well-being. Stoicism teaches us to find balance. Give, but not so much that you lose yourself in the process. When you start setting boundaries and easing off a bit, people are going through some interesting changes. They start taking responsibility for their own stuff, which is good for both them and you. There's a powerful quote from Seneca that captures this idea perfectly. True generosity is giving what is needed, not just what is asked for. This quote reminds us that sometimes the greatest gift we can give isn't just fulfilling any request, but allowing others to meet their own needs. It's in this balance that we find the essence of true generosity. Generosity enriches everyone involved, but don't let it drain your own life or get caught in a cycle of constant giving. Remember, it's not just about being generous, it's about being smart with your generosity. That way you're helping others without losing yourself. 6. Excessive kindness can breed suspicion. Stoicism teaches us to live by our values regardless of what others think. The goal is to stick to your principles and build a genuine and lasting reputation. However, in a world where true kindness is rare, being overly generous can ironically backfire. People might start to question your motives and wonder why you're being so generous. They might think, what's in it for them? It's not always that you've come across a bunch of cynical people. It's just a realistic response. People are used to kindness having some kind of hidden agenda, so when someone comes along who genuinely wants to give and help, it can raise some eyebrows. They've probably dealt with others who seem nice, but had selfish reasons behind their actions, and that experience makes them cautious. Being skeptical about genuine acts of kindness doesn't mean you should hold back your generosity. It's more about finding a balance. Be kind, but also be transparent. Let your actions reflect your honesty. Remember, it's not about seeking approval, it's about staying true to your values. Over time, consistent and balanced kindness can break down walls of suspicion, showing the sincerity of your intentions. That's the kind of authenticity that Stoicism champions. That stands the test of time and skepticism. The seventh risk is falling into dependency. Stoicism warns us about the danger of losing balance in life, especially when it comes to giving. It's all about moderation and self-control. When you give too much, or always become the person others rely on, it can lead to serious consequences. You might start by coping with stress and emotional exhaustion, and that's when the risk of dependency sneaks in. You might find yourself overeating, or perhaps just doing too much. Play anything, just to fill the emptiness that comes from constantly giving. The signs urge us to listen to our loved ones. If a friend or family member expresses concern, we should pay attention to it. We often fall into denial when faced with the possibility of addiction. It's easier to brush off their worries than to admit there's a problem. But those comments usually come from a place of care and love. Accepting that kind of feedback is a step towards self-reflection and growth. It's important to remember that those who care about us, they're not trying to criticize or judge. They care about their own issues, and that's a way of respecting themselves and their journey to a balanced life. It's like practicing Stoicism in real life, using moderation and self-control to steer clear of harmful behaviors that could hurt our health and happiness. In the end, recognizing and addressing these risks shows strength. It reflects a commitment to our own well-being, in line with Stoic principles of balance and self-reflection. 8. Overcoming issues with unbalanced relationships. Imagine being the person everyone relies on when they're in a tough spot. It feels good to be needed, right? But then you start noticing you're not on the guest list for weekend dinners or those random hangouts. You're there for them in hard times, but when it comes to sharing laughs and making good memories, you're left out, as if you're only good enough to lend a hand, but not to join in the fun. Sharing a smile is realizing that it can hurt. You're not just a helper, you're a person who also seeks fun and connection. It's a common scenario where people often categorize others based on what they bring to the table, labeling them. In the end, you might miss out on the chance to be friends with someone on the same level. This situation isn't just unfair, it's a red flag. You start to wonder if people value you for who you are, or just for what you can do for them. Now let's take a look at the Stoic approach, Stoicism. It's not about lacking emotions, but rather understanding human nature and behaving wisely. This situation is a chance to rethink your relationships. It's a test of your ability to tell who values you as a person and who just sees you as a means to an end. It's tough, but it's important. You're learning to recognize true friendship and distance yourself from one-sided relationships. Plus, Stoicism encourages us to reflect on our role in this dynamic. Are we supporting this kind of behavior while chasing our wants and desires in friendships? It's about finding a balance between helping others and staying true to ourselves by setting boundaries and expressing our own needs. When we invite more authentic connections into our lives, we start attracting people who appreciate us for who we really are, not just for our willingness to bend over backwards for them. It's important to invest our time and energy in people who value us completely. This approach not only aligns with Stoic principles, but also leads to more fulfilling and balanced relationships. 9. The lack of healthy boundaries with loved ones can be tough. Stoic wisdom teaches us to set reasonable limits in all areas of life, including our relationships with family and friends. It's often hardest to say no to those we care about because we're afraid of hurting their feelings or coming off as insensitive. But here's the thing. True care isn't about giving everything you have without limits. It's about recognizing your own needs and resources. Eventually you realize that prioritizing your own needs is just as important. Helping friends is important, but it's got to have its limits. Otherwise, we might end up needing help ourselves. The key is not to go to extremes. I'm not saying you should completely stop helping. It's about learning to set boundaries with love, but also firmness. You can promise to help within your means, or if a relative wants you to pitch in with a week-long renovation, let them know you can only spare the weekends. The main thing is to communicate your position calmly and respectfully. There's no need to feel guilty or ashamed. After all, isn't it better to help a little bit than to overcommit and burn out? From a pure heart rather than out of duty or resentment, as Marcus Aurelius said, it's better to decline when you can give than to give and then regret it and hate it. Practice this skill gradually. Start by saying no to small things or non-urgent requests. Over time, you'll feel more confident setting boundaries on serious issues. The key is to come from the heart and remember that taking care of yourself is also a form of love, just for yourself. Your loved ones might be upset or not understand you at first, but if those relationships are toxic, it's worth it. Mature relationships are about understanding and respecting each other's needs. That's real historical wisdom in how we connect with one another. 10. Undervaluing personal time. Time is one of life's greatest gifts, but in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, we often get caught up in endless commitments. We tend to say yes to every request, agreeing to things we really don't need to. Meetings often lead us to realize that real life is passing us by, just like Seneca said. Ask yourself, is this worth my time and attention? Learn to value your hours and minutes just as you value your money. You can't get time back, so ditch the trivial stuff in favor of what truly matters in your life. Life is short, and no one knows how much time we have left, so appreciate each day and hour and fill them with real meaning. Don't waste them on nonsense. You can say, along with Seneca, that I haven't wasted a single day. That's the true Stoic approach to time as life's greatest gift. Now let's look at some ways to stop others from taking advantage of you. First strategy, mastering the art of saying no for a balanced life. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the conscious and balanced distribution of these resources. This is where the power of no comes in. Saying no isn't just a refusal, it's a declaration of self-respect. Recognizing your limits means understanding that not every request or demand deserves your yes. Many of us have gotten used to seeing no as a bad thing, feeling overwhelmed, and agreeing to things that leave us feeling down or hurt. Saying no isn't pessimism, it's practical wisdom. It's about protecting your well-being and focusing your efforts where they truly matter. Start by practicing saying no in situations that don't require much of you. Realize that every time you say no, you're making space for what really counts. You're not just saying no to a request. You're making a choice about how to live your life. You're standing up for your time and energy. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation. Remember, learning to say no is a skill you need to develop. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, but with practice, it becomes a powerful tool for maintaining balance in your life. By mastering the art of saying no, you're reclaiming your freedom and protecting yourself from being overwhelmed or taken advantage of. It's a fundamental step towards a life that aligns with your values. Second strategy, tune in to your emotions, values, and priorities. According to Stoicism, self-reflection is key. It's all about understanding your emotions and reactions, which is super important for maintaining balance. The strategy is to pay attention to your feelings, which can indicate if you're giving too much of yourself. Don't suppress your emotions. Instead, encourage a deep understanding of them. Start by noticing how you feel when you help others. Ideally, generosity should bring you a sense of satisfaction and joy. It's like walking on clouds, you know. But if helping someone leaves you feeling drained, hurt, or taken advantage of, that's a sign something's off. Those feelings are your inner compass telling you it's time to reassess your boundaries. If you're always feeling negative after helping someone, it means that giving is costing you more than it should. So, take a moment to reflect after helping out. Ask yourself, what do I really want? I feel like I'm either full of energy or totally drained. Am I being appreciated or just used? This self-reflection isn't about guilt or self-judgment. It's a genuine self-assessment, recognizing and respecting my feelings. It's not selfish, it's a way to take care of myself. By tuning into my emotions, I can make adjustments in my life. That might mean setting boundaries, saying no more often, or being pickier about who and how I help. A Stoic approach to self-reflection can help me strike a balance between helping others and taking care of myself. Third strategy, Watch out for energy vampires. Stoicism, discernment, and self-discipline are key virtues, especially when it comes to relationships. It's important to identify and distance yourself from those who drain your energy. These so-called energy vampires. These are the people who leave you feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and emotionally drained after spending time with them. Energy vampires often have endless complaints, a pessimistic outlook, and a tendency to blow problems out of proportion. Their presence can really drain your mental and emotional reserves. A Stoic approach to these kinds of relationships isn't about being harsh, it's about wise insight. It means recognizing that some people, no matter how hard you try to help them, might not change or benefit from your support. They're not necessarily bad people, but their impact on your well-being can be pretty negative. With such individuals, it's crucial to set firm boundaries, especially if you consistently feel worse after spending time with them. This is a sign that you need to rethink your relationship. It doesn't mean you have to cut off communication completely or stop caring about their problems. On the contrary, you should limit the impact of their negativity and protect your own emotional health. Practically, this could mean setting boundaries on the time you spend with them, the support you offer, or even walking away from the relationship if necessary. Remember, Stoicism teaches us that we can't control other people, only our reactions to them. Choosing where and with whom to invest your energy shows self-respect, which is super important. Fourth strategy, respect for one's space and time. This strategy is all about making time and space for yourself. It's about carving out moments for activities that bring you joy and relaxation, whether that's yoga, painting, or just enjoying a cup of tea with some music. These moments are crucial for your well-being. Think of this self-care time as an appointment that's just as important as any other commitment in your schedule. Make it a priority to follow through on your commitments so you can carve out time for these rejuvenating activities. It's really important to take this practice seriously and plan for it regularly, whether that's daily or weekly. And now, the most important part, remember your commitments to yourself. It's totally okay to say no. This isn't about not wanting to cooperate or not caring about yourself. It's about respecting your own needs. You can be polite yet firm, explaining that you have obligations to yourself. If you want to meet up, offer to help another time, but make it clear that your willingness has its limits. Remember, according to Stoic wisdom, this approach helps you maintain a healthy balance between helping others and taking care of your own needs. Stoic teachings remind us that balance is key in all areas of life, and generosity is no exception. Take care and remember, when you're not sure you want to give something, rejection can be your best friend. If you found our video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment. May your journey be filled with strength and wisdom. See you next time.